So it looks like we are live once again. This is another edition of the Wicked Awesome Report, broadcasting every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. or 10-ish, depending on our technical difficulties in the morning. Patrick Queally, your friend in the mortgage business, host here at the Wicked Awesome Report, joined by my co-host, Declan O'Toole from SelectRE Estate. Good morning, Declan.
Morning, Patrick. How's everything going with you?
Things are well. We've got an interesting show topic today, but just want to encourage our audience, give us a comment, a like, head over to the Wicked Awesome Report Facebook page, check that out, and give us a like there. You'll be notified when the next live video is broadcasted. So again, it's every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. So this morning, Declan, interesting topic, a lot of different stories. I don't think you can be in the real estate industry for very long and not have a story that kind of falls under this this category in terms of when a property is being sold. What's included with that sale? Is it literally the foundation, the roof, and the four walls, or what else is thrown in as part of the sale? Now, the big sort of CYA disclosure here is I'm not an attorney. I don't even play one on Facebook. I don't think you are either, Declan.
No, not okay. Last time I checked.
So not legal advice, but maybe some sort of more business advice as you're taking a look at what's in the home and how you want to phrase things on the purchase and sales agreement contract. So I think, Declan, you'd probably agree that when a home is being sold and the contract is being filled out, it's pretty common that most of the appliances are going to be included. Now, appliances that are built in is typically one of the, I guess, common sense kind of cutoff points. So the stove has to be included. Most people are going to believe that the microwave, as long as that's built in, that's going to be included. The dishwasher. Now we're getting some gray area maybe about the fridge. Is the fridge always a fixture that's sold with the property? Sometimes the washer and dryer, and I've seen a lot of disagreements over washer and dryers as to whether or not they should or should not have been included in the sale. So give us from the real estate agent's perspective, Declan, give us your spin on sort of appliances and how that should be dealt with appropriately on a sale.
Well, first things first, when a seller or a seller's agent puts a property on the market, you have a list of what's included and a list of exclusion.
Okay.
Now, a lot of the time when that comes up, you're ticking a box. Does it have a fridge? Does it have this, that, and the other? And the agent really needs to have a good, long, hard conversation with the seller to begin with, to find out what's included, what's not included. So I've seen it. So, essentially the included, usually it goes through a list of appliances. Now, on occasion, you'll see the agent may even put it in there as a list of appliances and include the washer dryer because they saw a washer dryer and they're walking through the house and sort of taking notes. And but it's not put in as an exclusion. There is a room for an exclusion: chandeliers, etc., etc. Now, it's also easy to overlook that. You look at a property, you look at the price, you look at the square footage, you look at the area, all those things. And way down that list is that list of items. Now, when you make an offer on a property, typically there's to be included. At least I typically put in fixtures, appliances, and window treatments, but it's an automatic, right? That's something you put in on the offer. But it really gets down to nitty gritty needs to be sorted out by the time.
Well, exactly. So you say, appliances included in the offer. So I think, the best advice is you got to get a little bit more specific. What appliances?
Yeah, no, I make a list. Have a list, go through, say, okay, boom, 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 boom. Even if it's side list and it's an email, so we're talking about a purchase and sale, I think, but you can have it on the purchase and sale, but certainly even if there's an, identified, memorialized list of this is what's included, and go through each of the items, make sure that the buyers and sellers are in agreement.
Right. Yeah. And that's, the washer and dryer is a typical example of what I've seen where, so typically, I attend closings with my buyer clients, and I know real estate agents typically attend their closings as well. So, I've been at closings where it's been fairly tense because the morning of the closing, the buyers do their final walkthrough to make sure the property is still in good condition. And they're walking through, and in the laundry room, well, there's a big open space, a big gap where the washer and dryer used to be.
Now it's a washer and dryer hookup.
Yeah, the sellers took it with them, and they were expecting, or they thought, that the washer and dryer was included. So it can lead to some tense and unhappy moments at the closing table. And part of it is really just sort of, I guess, a misunderstanding and not being as well organized down to the detail in terms of what's included and what's not.
Well, I've also gone through a final walkthrough, and went through the kitchen, had all the appliances. There was a fridge there. It was a stainless steel fridge when we made the offer. It was an avocado fridge when we were buying it.
So they swapped out. So the seller swapped out the fridge.
Back to the future, back to the 1980s.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. All right. So maybe you have to specify not just the fridge is included, but it's the same fridge that was there at the time of the offer, or
Yeah, and there are things. I mean, even another one. Again, I'm just thinking off the top of my head. Another situation again where you live and you learn. But there was a above ground pool and a hot tub, and they were featured very strongly in the photographs. Number 3, I think, was the hot tub. I'm not quite sure where the above ground pool was in the photos, and it was not initially put in as an exclusion. And it turns out the pool and the hot tub were not included in the sale.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's as a consumer, I would probably expect that the pool and the hot tub would be included. That's I don't know if that's necessarily common sense or just sort of a generally accepted idea. So you're talking about some of the other big ticket items.
Yeah, no, and again, I think typically that was the case, and there was in that situation, there was a communication between the selling agent and the agent themselves and the buying party. But again, you still look at it. You put the hot tub in. You don't take anything for granted. If you assume, it makes an ass out of you and me, and so you gotta make sure.
Yeah, you need to get all those details correct. So we've seen transactions where again the sellers maybe they're downsizing. Okay, they're going to a smaller house or smaller apartment, or they're moving across the country. They don't want to take all of their stuff with them. Okay, and I've even seen in listings where it states furniture is negotiable, or so there are some things that can be included. Now that may be great for, let's say, a first-time home buyer that is moving out of mom and dad's basement. Maybe they don't have a lot of their own furniture. To be able to get a place that has some furniture may be nice. Okay, but the difficult piece comes on the financing end of things. Okay, because when you're taking out mortgage financing, it's a loan against the piece of real estate, not the piece of real estate and the dining room set, or or the piece of real estate and the flat screen TV. Okay, so while we're talking about earlier, the appliances generally considered fixtures. They're sort of built in. They're attached to the property. Other things like furniture are not. So if you're purchasing a home and you're buying something other than the real estate, other than the fixtures that are attached to the property, such as furniture, that could be an issue. Because if you're buying a home for, pick a number, $500,000, okay, and the seller wants to leave behind, the dining room set and the couches that are in the basement, just because it's a pain to remove the couches and get the movers to get it out of there. Okay, and they want to leave that stuff behind. Great, but if that's written into the contract as a lender, we're lending on the piece of real estate. So is the real estate valued at $500,000, or is the real estate valued at $490? Because the cost of all the furniture is $10,000. Okay, so you just need to be careful, because that does impact how a lender is going to take a look at that transaction and what sort of value they're determining that real estate is worth. So one of the workarounds that I have seen be successful is that the parties, the buyer and seller, agree that, again, the purchase price of the home is $500,000 and that the furniture is going to remain. But in the contract, the seller and buyers agree that the furniture is being left as a gift from the seller to the buyer, nominal consideration or no value for that. So as a lender, I'm looking at that, okay, they're leaving behind the furniture, they're saying there's no value to it, they're purchasing just the real estate for $500,000. That's something you can work with. But when you start listing, different pieces of furniture, so the dining room set is $1,000, the couches are $200, the patio furniture is, and it's sort of an itemized list. Yeah, that's going to impact what a lender takes a look at in terms of determining what the value of the real estate is. Those personal property items, basically the value of those gets subtracted from what the purchase price is. So it can be an awkward situation for everybody involved.
So you're saying, so if you acknowledge that it's a gift, that takes away that situation?
In most cases, most lenders are going to say, okay, they're saying it's nominal value. They're not including a price of that item in the sale of the real estate, just the seller's leaving it behind. Now, you have to be reasonable. If it's a $500,000 house and there are a couple of Picasso paintings and whatever, and you're buying the home for $1 million because the painting is attached to the wall that's in the front hall, that's not really a fixture, and that's not adding to the value of the property. Okay, that's a personal property that's included in the sale. Okay, now one of the things that is common that I see a lot is pool equipment. So, when we talked about the above ground pool, I think most people will consider, the above ground pool is something that is typically going to remain. But what about all the pool equipment? The filters, the poles that you use to scoop out and clean, the chemicals, the whatever, the water filtration system, all of that, is that included in the sale? I'd say in most cases it probably is. Does it have a value? Yeah, it does. And I suggest the best way to address that is buyer or seller is leaving pool equipment as a gift to the buyers. That way it's on the contract, so everybody knows that it's there right now. When the seller leaves, the seller's leaving it there. And from the lender's perspective, there's no monetary value attributed to that particular item.
And there's no value to the seller. They're moving into the condo in the middle of Boston or wherever it is.
Yeah, you know what? For a lot of sellers, it just may be more of a pain in the ass if they have to take it with them because they don't have any place to put it. Right. If they're downsizing to a condo, what the hell are they going to do with a pool skimmer on their 10th floor condo? Right.
Sure, they'll find somewhere for the Picasso.
Yeah, rather than going on, Craigslist or whatever and Facebook Marketplace and try and sell it, just leave it behind,
You'll get that too, and sometimes it becomes a problem for the buyer too, is lawn equipment. So you're looking at a lawnmower or leaf blowers, etc., and they come in, the contract typically says that it's a room clean condition, and then they have all this equipment in the garage, and it's like, well, we're not taking it. Or paint. Sellers tend to leave over paint, and it's usually a good idea so that if they want it, but then you have buyers that say, hey, I'm allergic to latex and we're going to repaint the place anyway. So those are definitely things that need to be sorted out before.
Exactly, yeah, it goes both ways. So some people may appreciate having that lawn equipment. They don't have to go and buy a new lawnmower and all of that. And other people say, well, what the hell? The garage is cluttered with all this equipment that I don't want, I don't need. Seller, you left behind a bunch of junk. It's not, broom clean condition. So it really can go both ways.
And that's the thing, that if you're doing a final walkthrough in an hour's time, you're sitting down together and swapping keys. Well, after COVID is over, obviously.
Well, yeah. So it can make for some tense moments at the closing table. So again, the best advice is itemize those items and have a clear understanding what's being left behind, what is not. Because it could be stuff that you want or stuff that you don't want as a buyer or as a seller. Okay, so a funny story. One of the most unusual inclusions that I've heard of on a real estate transaction. So a guy that both of us know that is a real estate agent in California had a buyer that he was showing homes to, and home after home after home. And while the buyer was sort of a laid back, relaxed kind of guy, just didn't find a property that, that spoke to him. It just wasn't a good fit. So after dozens of homes, finally find this one property, and he says to the agent, "Yeah, man, this is it. This is the home." And the agent was kind of taken aback by it because it didn't quite seem like it met all the criteria. So he's asking why. He's like, "Yeah, man, I love it. It's close enough to the beach so I can go surfing, and it's this and it's that. You know what I really love about the home?" I was like, "What?" The guy says, "The dog. Do you think that we can write a contract and include the dog in the sale?" The agent's like, "Well, I don't even know if that's legal. We can ask." And so to make a long story short, it was, this guy was a surfer dude, so wanted to be close to the water, and the dog was just a nice, relaxed, chill, even-tempered dog, and that was there at the showings, and this buyer wanted the dog as part of the sale, and sure enough,
there was
a reason they were able to put it together, and the dog was included in the sale. Now, I didn't see the contract. I'm not sure how the hell he wrote that up, but when they presented the offer, that was part of the deal, and it worked.
Funny, you reminded me. I had a situation with buyers here in Boston, bought a property, 3-family, owner occupied, and owners were on one level, and they were going to move in themselves, and they left behind people. And that was part of it. The sellers wanted to leave people behind, so it was not tenants, but they were going to become tenants. They were related to the owners. They wanted them to stay there for another year and a half. So literally wrote it in that they would get to stay behind and stay as tenants. So they inherited, you typically in investment property, you inherit tenants anyway, but there wasn't a lease in place. It wasn't even, so it was, I suppose, they weren't paying rent, but they were going to pay rent to the new owners.
I see.
They inherited the mother-in-law.
Yeah, wow. Well, that's an interesting one. Now, we've certainly heard stories of some, I guess what we'd call luxury properties, really on the higher end, much larger purchase prices, and sort of as, maybe an inducement to a buyer to make an offer. There are some other items that are sort of thrown in with the sale. So I've seen, exotic cars. So make an offer in this home and we'll throw in the Lamborghini. Make an offer in this home and the Bentley comes with it. Again, that may be all well and good in marketing to get people to come in and make an offer, but when it comes to the financing, that car is not the real estate. That's not a fixture. So the value of the car is excluded from the contract price. So what you're paying for the property that includes the car, that's not necessarily the number that a lender is using when basing how much of a loan to be able to give you to purchase that home.
On the plus side, it'll appraise easier at the lower price.
Well, yeah, there you go. So, so again, I think that the major point here is don't take it for granted. Get it in writing. Be very specific. If you want that stainless steel fridge as part of the transaction, it should be listed on the contract. If you expect the washer and dryer, it should be listed on the contract. If you specifically don't want the lawn equipment, if you want that, the shed that is at the back of the property where all the lawn equipment, if you want that to be broom clean condition as well with nothing in it, I think the best advice is you got to specify that.
Yeah, or whether you want the shed or not. Sometimes these are.
Yeah, well, there you go. See, that the shed is not necessarily a fixture. That's something that you can move. So yeah, may sound ridiculous, but yeah, include the shed as part of, write that into the contract as the shed needs to remain, and so does the pool, and so does the hot tub, and but yeah,
I just think of so many different.
Yeah, flat screen TVs, chandeliers. Sometimes, custom drapes. So if you have a, large, odd-shaped window and there's custom drapes that are there, I see that quite often as being an inclusion. But right, chandelier, a lot of times that's an exclusion. It could be a family heirloom and the sellers want to take that with them, you know? So I've certainly seen some weird things on contracts, both being included and being excluded. But again, it all comes down to putting it into the contract. As a buyer, simply because it looks like it's attached to the property, don't necessarily assume on closing day it's still going to be there. Get it written into the contract.
But I heard one other one with regards to sellers that decided that they wanted to take their bonsai plants with them, and
Okay.
and they dug them all up before they left.
Wow.
But that was in the that it was disclosed. Everything was on the up and up. But again, it's very requested. They're basically taking the landscaping with them as well.
Yeah, so I certainly don't have a green thumb, so landscaping and gardening is not my thing, but familiar with, bonsai plants. They do take a long time to grow and do take a lot of care. So I guess I can understand it from the seller's perspective. They want to take that with them, but yeah, they're taking the landscaping.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
You just don't know. You just don't know.
Yeah. So not everything visible to the naked eye is necessarily included in that sale. So like any contract, the important thing is get it in writing. Make sure both parties are literally on the same page as to what's included and what's not.
Full disclosure. If you can list it, put it down, and if everything is highlighted, it's communication. It's they say location, or the three. They're the three L's, three C's.
Yeah.
Really. Communication.
Yeah.
Make sure there's nothing left out of the conversation, nothing taken for granted, and everything. I won't say it always goes very smooth, but it'll certainly make it go a lot smoother.
Of course, yeah. The more communication you have, just the more that everybody's going to be on the same page. You don't end up with this, disgruntled or unhappy sort of conclusion to the transaction where, it should be a happy moment. Someone buying a house, moving in, and can certainly leave a bad taste in their mouth where they expected that washer and dryer, they expected that pool and that hot tub to be there, and now it's not. Because it wasn't specifically mentioned in the contract.
Right.
So, and again, if it was mentioned in the contract, the buyers may want it, but if it's mentioned in the contract that it's not included in the sale, well, at least they know what they're getting when they get to the closing table, rather than being a surprise when they show up at the property and it's not there.
Right. Exactly.
All right. Well, I think this is sort of a short and sweet edition of the Wicked Awesome Report. So the bottom line here is when you're making an offer on a property, when you're signing a purchase and sales agreement, be extremely specific with what you want to have included and to remain at the time of sale, and what you want excluded and what you want gone at the time of sale. Just so both buyers and sellers are on the same page. And that's, I think that's really great advice for everybody involved in a transaction, whether you're on the buy side or on the sell side.
Perfect.
All right, so let's wrap it up. Again, another short and sweet edition of the Wicked Awesome Report. And we actually do have a lineup of some great guests coming up for the next couple of shows. So please tune back in for that. We run every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Check out Wicked Awesome Report Facebook page. Give us a like over there. Drop us a comment, and you'll be notified next time that we go live. I'm Patrick Queally, your friend in the mortgage business, host here, joined by my co-host Declan O'Toole from SelectRE Estate. This has been another edition of the Wicked Awesome Report. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thanks for joining me again, Declan.
Well, thanks for having me, Patrick.
And
Tuesday, is it Sean Moynihan joining us?
I think Sean is going to be on with us next week. So great guest. We're going to have a lot of fun with Sean, and so that's going to be next Tuesday at 10 a.m. So until then, hope everybody stays well and stay awesome. Take care.